Hello again, welcome to another Wine with Tweedy video. I know you're thinking, well, surely we already covered East Meon Berrygarden, but this is in fact a different vintage, and it's a practically pointless vintage for me to review because I bought the last case from the vineyard. This is their 2015 vintage, which I actually think is probably their best of all time. So, you know, it's a combination of the fact that it's a bit of a special wine, I think, and the fact it's been a rather crappy week thus far. We're only on Wednesday as well. I thought I would open it involving a sword. Quick Sabrage 101 here. Pretty important to make sure the bottle's really well chilled. This has been in my fridge for a while. Otherwise, upend it in an ice bucket. You've got to make sure that the neck is well chilled, most importantly. Take off the cage. I think there is a proper name for this. I'll put it in a caption if I can remember. I normally like to screw the cage back on just above the collar here, partly because that helps to keep the whole thing intact when you're chopping it off. Now, very important is look for the seam, the weak spot. You feel around, and there should be a seam either side on the neck, and where the seam meets the collar, right about there, that's a weak point in the glass. A big, heavy bit of metal. And this isn't actually sharp. You know, I can just to demonstrate, I can hold this by the blade very easily. But a relatively heavy bit of metal with a flat cutting edge helps. The back end of a kitchen knife if you don't happen to have a saber to hand. And there we go, simple as that. One of the advantages of Sabrage from a hygiene and safety point of view, I'm all about health and safety on this channel. Sometimes if a cork has been in my cellar for a long time, it actually starts to get a bit of mould around there. I don't know if you can just about see where the sort of stubby bit of the cork meets the top. The wine inside is always fine. You know, just take the cork out and you're okay. But if you're then pouring the wine over that mouldy lip of the neck, it's not very appetizing, is it? Whereas, you know, cut the whole thing off, much safer. Pour some of this out. Now, I feel I ought to issue a correction to my previous review of the 2018, where I said that the colour was blush. What I was actually doing there was sort of projecting this memory of what the 2015 was like. Now, that I would call blush. It's not like a classic sort of white sparkling wine. It's going ever so slightly yellowy, orangey, pinkish. And, you know, I've always thought that sort of denotes the very high Pinot content of this. I'm fairly sure this is something like 80% Pinot, 20% Chardonnay. And that is just bloody lovely. It's so refined, elegant. Hedgerow fruits, stone fruits, the things like sort of plum, blackberries in there, loganberries, the sort of thing you would steal growing over somebody's hedge in a country lane as a child. There's a hint of wild strawberry. It's got this lovely minerality and texture to it. And I've probably said most of the same things about the 2018, which is also an exceptionally good wine. But for me, something about this is just the sort of, I don't know, the kind of precision of it, the texture, the elegance, really, really spectacular. It's extremely mouth-watering. It's very, very Moorish, and I think that's partly down to the sort of zingy signature Dermot Segru made acidity, and that sort of fruit expression, the kind of extreme fruit-driven character of it. It's just beautiful. Like I said, sorry, you can't actually buy it 2015, but you can buy the 2018, which is also very good, and I think they had an abundant crop that year. So the supply of that should be very good. If you haven't already tried East Meon and you do like English sparkling, I think it's an absolute gem of a wine. Quite possibly, if not my absolute favourite, definitely in my top 3 favourite of all time. Cheers. Thanks for watching.